Welcome to episode 57 of the show. Today, we're going to be talking about 5 ways to realign and reset your spirituality. So necessary. Just so necessary in my own life. But before we dig into all of that content, I want to read you a review of the week. This review is titled, Love These, 5 stars by Lisa's Fun Life. Thank you so much for your real talk. Always so helpful. Thank you, Lisa, for leaving that review. I appreciate you so much. Now, drum roll, please. Did you know that since starting my podcast roughly 7 months ago, I've been able to explode my number of followers in my community by tens of thousands of people, that my revenue stream has increased by over 98%. And it's been so fulfilling and fun. I couldn't have imagined this outcome would have ever happened from me just showing up and pouring content out into the world. If you've been considering starting a podcast or that tugged at your heartstrings and got you thinking, I want to introduce you to Podcast Pro University. This program is literally every single thing you need, from an idea to execution, to launching your show, how to get on iTunes, what equipment you need, where to host, what an episode needs to encompass, how to record, how to edit, how to do every single thing to basically launch your first podcast and start having the same success story that I've had. I want you to head over to Podcast Pro University and check out details. For a very limited time, I've set it up with an early bird special just for my mompreneur listeners. Don't miss out. That is podcastprouniversity.com. I'll meet you there. What's up, Mama Boss? Welcome back to the Mompreneur Mastermind Show. I'm Stephanie Gass, success strategist and passive income queen creator. If you're ready to step into your God-led potential, create profit from your passions, and capture the success that is already yours, this podcast was made for you. As always, you can find out more and connect with me over at stephaniegass.com. So grab that cup of coffee or fill up that glass of wine and let's dig into today's show. Okay, here's the dealio. I found myself a couple days ago just like so focused on everything other than my spirituality. I don't know if this happens to any of you, but it definitely happens to me. So I feel like I go in waves and I have this really great focus on it. And we're at church and I'm doing all my intentions and I'm praying throughout the day and I'm so focused on why I'm doing what I'm doing for his kingdom. And then I get distracted. And what happened for me was I started working on getting some collaborations going in the podcast world. And I started heading out there and doing research. And that research turned into comparison. And that comparison turned into self-judgment and self-ridicule. And, my show isn't big enough, or I don't have as many reviews as this person, or blah, 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 blah. And so I got distracted and I find myself super focused on, work and how can I grow and how can I have more success and financially and blah, blah, blah. And then I realized, because I've shifted my focus onto earthly things like money or my business or comparison or all of those things, I am not focusing as heavily on my spirituality. And that starts to weigh on me in more ways than one. I find myself easily overwhelmed. I'm more frustrated. I can't seem to find enough time in my day. And it's always the same answer: spiritual realignment. Because if I'm called to be a voice and be an advocate for his kingdom, this is not about me. It's not about how successful I am in earthly terms. It's about, am I furthering his mission? Am I speaking life into the call that God has given me? So this morning, and that's where I got the inspiration for this episode, I just sat down with a piece of paper and I said, what am I not doing that I was doing when I felt zero pressure, zero stress, not zero, but less pressure, less stress. And I felt just so in alignment with God. And I knew that Everything was gravy, baby. And here's what I wrote down. It was these 5 things that we're going to go into. And I wanted to share them with you because if my spirituality tests me sometimes and all of the earthly distractions are getting in the way of my time with God and it pulls me away, I have to recognize that and check myself as quickly as possible, because I think that my best mindset and my best me is when I am fully and completely spiritually fed. And God is my boo. Like, he is my BFF. I talk to him all day, every day. And when I'm not doing that, everything else starts to lack. I wanted to share these with you because you may find that that's what's happening for you and not even know it. As Christian entrepreneurs, it's so important for us to keep our spirituality at the forefront. Am I right? So, what goes in matters. That is the whole mantra for this episode, okay? What goes in matters. So, when I am allowing myself to get off track with what I'm putting into my heart, that's going to affect everything else. When I'm not putting into my heart God's word and all of the things that spiritually align me, that's really where I start to get off track. So number 1, here are the 5 things that I do and did starting today, because I had kind of fallen away on some of these, to realign my spirituality. Number 1 is my morning routine. This is so key to my mental well-being. Let me lay it down. I wake up 30 minutes early before the rest of my house is going to wake up. I go into my kitchen and I get my celery juice and my coffee, because girls, we need ourselves some celery juice. It is so good for you. Go Google it. And of course, coffee, because let's get real. Then I sit down and I do a couple of things. I open my Jesus Calling devotional and I read my devotional for the day. And I really sit on it because I think that so often when I open that page, that's the page that's destined for me for that day. And I underline the key phrases that really speak to me, that just kind of flow into my heart, and I can feel the shift. I'm like, okay, my gosh, like that was meant for me. I needed that. It's like just food for my soul. Underline all of those things. The next thing that I do is I open my 5-year journal and I journal for the day. What is my intention for the day? 3 things I'm grateful for, and a memory or something notable that I want to remember in future years. And then the last step is I plan my day. Now, the biggest thing here for me is starting my day with the devotional and then letting that set my intention, which then flows into my actual activity. And I also like to say a small prayer when I first wake up, because it's so easy for me to reach for my phone. And us as entrepreneurs, how many emails did we get? Did we get any orders overnight? What do we need to do? And the reactive nature of being an entrepreneur is just there. But it's something that we can control. So instead of reaching for my phone, I turn off my alarm and then I lay back down for 2 minutes and just say a quick prayer. And for me, it's often just, I give thanks for this beautiful day, for my bed, for this beautiful time that I'm going to get to spend with myself and with God and with his word that he has for me for that day. So here's what I'm getting at. Start your day with God. Is it a devotional that you love? Like, I've been reading Jesus Calling for like 3 years. I love it. But there's some other apps that are wonderful that you can start with. You can just get out the Bible. What is it spiritually that you need to hear and read? So start with that. Let it flow through you so that you can be a conduit for that word for the rest of your day. And also, there's just a peace that surrounds me when I start my day this way. There's no rush. I don't have to be reactive. I've woken up early, so I feel like I got some me time to schedule out my day in the way that serves me and my family and my best self. Number 2, church. Look, like if you're not a church person, that's fine. This is not to judge anybody or to tell you what to do, but this is simply what I need. I noticed we didn't go to church this last Sunday because my son was sick. He had a fever, and I really try not to be that mom bringing my sick kiddo and then, getting everybody else sick. So we didn't go to church, and we had every intention of watching it on TV, but we got distracted. We started doing taxes, and before we knew it, It was 3 and like, you know how it is. The day got away. And I can truly tell the difference from when I am a fueled, fed Stephanie and I'm allowing the sermon and the energy of worship and just the vibration that's inside of that building to come into my heart. It's almost as if I've had like spiritual medicine for the rest of the week. But when I don't physically go to church, I can tell that I'm missing something. Like that little spark isn't there. And I am so touched from the worship portion of church that for me, like I can actually feel the spirit. I can truly, like I feel it when I'm doing worship. And it's the closest for me that I feel that I get to God. So church, that's number 2 for me, is that not only do I have to really commit to that morning routine, but I also really commit to church. And this may be for you, this may not be for you, but for me, that's something that spiritually helps me stay in alignment. Number 3 is what goes in matters. And here's a secret trick that I use. I listen to Christian podcasts, and you can listen, whatever your religion is, listen to a faith-based podcast that's within your wheelhouse. Find someone that inspires you and motivates you and lifts you up, and they're speaking God's word, and they're just beacons of light in the spirituality world, because what goes in matters. I'll be driving in my car, like the kids are fighting. Somebody took something, Miles touched me. And then we're like having a meltdown. Like I can feel my blood boiling because I'm like, are you serious? Like, is this that important to be fighting about? And like, I can just feel my eye twitching. Like yesterday, y'all, my eye, because my son's been home now. This is going to be the 3rd day because he had a fever. My eye's been twitching for like 48 hours. But I really work hard to channel my patience and to ask myself, like, how would Jesus handle this situation? And so often, instead of turning on a business podcast, which I'm obsessed with and my mind always wants to consume that business information, I will choose a Christian podcast. And I notice, what do you notice after that is over with? You feel so much more peaceful. You are filled with love. You are filled with light. And it almost helps me to check my own perspective and say, okay, is this really that big of a deal in the eyes of God? Are my kids bickering in the back seat worthy of frustration, overwhelm? You know, I don't want to snap at them and yell at them. And so if I can turn my attention to something godly, like a podcast, like a Christian podcast, my mood immediately shifts. I am filled with more patience and light and love, and I'm able to better handle my situation. So that one is huge for me. And I think if you guys head over into iTunes, type in a pastor that you love, or just type in religious podcast. They have meditation work podcasts. They have energy work. They have sleep podcasts. They have any and every type of podcast in the entire world. And these are free. So figure out what you need to spiritually realign and go find that podcast and start fueling your mind, body, soul with it. It will help you to just refocus on what's truly important. Here's number 4. Pray. Pray in the morning, at night, when you're in the bathroom, when you're taking a shower, when you are driving. Pray, 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 pray. And again, I was noticing and have been noticing a distinct correlation between me running my day, you know, like, okay, it's how hard am I working at this? Am I doing enough? Why am I not catching the break? Or why is this client not coming in? Or blah, blah, blah. And really, it's not about me, you know, it's about God's timing and his direction for me. And all I need to do is show up, pour into the mission, and then be patient. And so prayer is what allows you to humble yourself and ask God for realignment. So when I get distracted from my spirituality, I'm not praying as often. And then I find my natural inclination is to let my ego step back in, right? And I don't know if this is the same for you, but I'm sure that if prayer helps me as much as it does and as important as we know that it is, in this earthly life that we're living is let God in every day, all day. And so I might find myself just saying quick prayers throughout the day. Like, I don't think that and everybody's prayers are different, and I think everybody has their own feelings when it comes to prayer and spirituality. But for me, it might be something quick. And I might ask God to just fill me with patience or fill me with perspective. Or sometimes I ask God to help me control the comparison or help me to love this other human and love their success. Help me humble my feelings right now. Like, it could just be something small. It could be confessions like, hey, I was feeling jealous of this person, or I was really focused on money, or whatever that thing might be. You might confess, or you might really need to have a session. I don't know about you, but I love to spend my shower time in prayer because it gives me, let's say, 10 or 15 minutes of truly uninterrupted time to have a conversation with my maker. So getting back to prayer is huge. And I know every time that I've got a serious focus on this throughout the day, that's when I'm noticing my spiritual alignment is at an all-time high. Now, the last one, number 5, is having spiritual and God-led mantras or affirmations that you can turn to and remind yourself of when you need them. Example, feeling like I don't have enough time, getting caught up in the whirlwind of the day. Kids are going crazy, clients coming up, the Xbox won't work for the hour that I need to meet with the client, house just got cleaned yesterday, but now it's a disaster, like whatever it might be that's making me flip out. One of my favorite mantras is I have unlimited time to do all the things that make me feel happy, fulfilled, successful in his name, or Jesus gives me every tool I need to be successful in life as a mama, as a business owner. I am enough. Everything is here with me. I have everything that I need. So I want you to think about, what do you find yourself saying over and over again in your head, maybe even out loud, that you need to reframe? And then I want you to write a quick mantra for yourself that you can, I memorize the mantras that I say to myself over and over again like that. But I try to make them spiritual because I think that for me, everything is already here that I need, right? God has everything covered. There's no need to stress. There's no need to worry. God knows where the next client is coming from. He knows when the big break will happen and if it will happen. He knows what he created us for. He has it all under control. And so when I have these mantras, it helps me to remember to let go and let him, and turn over all of the feelings that make me feel bad, and remember that everything's gravy. I am where I am right now on purpose. And there's no need to get super caught up in the wants, the but ifs, and the when, because that's out of our control. Am I right? So having these God-led mantras and affirmations really help me to just take a minute. And you have to be in tune with yourself enough to recognize them. For example, you have to recognize it. Like, if I notice I'm starting to feel really frustrated, or gosh, I'm starting to get frantic because there's not enough time, that's just a trigger for you to take a step back and say your mantra, right? Like, thank you, God, for the unlimited time that you've gifted to me. I'm so grateful that I am centered and surrounded in patience. You guys feel that? Like, it's so positive, and it just helps me to feel at peace. So I hope that those 5 steps will help you realign if you find your spirituality kind of waning and waving once in a while. I think it's good to check ourselves and get that in check, because we are the best that we can possibly be when we have God at the forefront of our businesses, of our parenting, of our relationships, and just embedded in everything that we do. I pray over you, beautiful, that you find the time to implement these things, and you find the time to pray and to love yourself enough to set up what you need to be happy, and know that you are successful right now today You are exactly where you need to be, and believe in yourself enough to show up for yourself, but also to be patient with your journey and know that God is rooting for you, cheering for you. And if He called you to do something incredible in this world, He is here to help you make good on His promise. As always, love and light, Stef. Hey mama, real quick before you go, if you found value in today's podcast and you learned something new, if you'll head over to iTunes, the Mompreneur Mastermind Show, and leave a review and subscribe to the channel, that would be awesome. And I'd love to connect with you over on social media. My handle is @StephanieGass. I'll see you soon. Praying light, love, and abundance. Until next time.